All right, she's been sitting now for maybe 6 months-ish. A layer of dust in here. Let's see if by some miracle battery didn't die and we'll start. Nope, battery's fully dead. All right, so I actually got this specifically for this truck because it can handle a 10-liter gas or an 8-liter diesel, and this is a 6.7-liter diesel. Since I'm not getting anything at all, I will have to use the override on this. So we got the little override button, it looks like, which is that one. So let's cross our fingers here and see if the Fantic saves the day. It has saved the day many times in the past. Now, this and most diesels have 2 batteries, and I actually don't know enough about them to know if it matters if I hook up to one or the other. So we'll try this one. Okay, hooked up, we're showing low voltage. So let's see if we can override it. Okay, now it's giving us 15. Lights actually kicked on. I heard a noise. This is promising. All right. Glow plug light off. Let's give it a go. Oh, amazing. Okay. Well, sitting for 6 months-ish. It's definitely not something I ever recommend you do to the batteries. Letting them die all the way is obviously bad. My other vehicles I all have on battery tenders, but I have this parked in a spot on my property where there's no power. And a lot of times I'll put a little solar tender on there. Just had too much going on, too stupid to tend these batteries through the winter. So they died all the way, but so it did use a lot of juice. We're sitting at 87% now from that start, but fantastic. Thank you, Fantic. They've actually hooked up jump starters for all my vehicles, so shout out to them. So the bus, getting the bus out of storage was really what, I don't know, spurred the idea for this video. It will be a rambling one, but I decided to get this thing out. So I've done a video or 2 on this already in the past. This is essentially the poor man, it's gonna be the poor man's Earthroamer. I don't know how crazy I'm gonna build it, but the interior layouts and builds of off-the-shelf RVs just didn't vibe with what I wanted to use it for. They don't usually allow the transportation of many people. So I wanted to use this kind of as a bus if we needed to haul a bunch of people, if I want to go on a road trip with my whole family and maybe bring my parents along and just drive one vehicle. I wanted something to do that, but I wanted something we could take camping. I wanted something we could take to national parks. I wanted something that was a little capable. Had to check a bunch of boxes. There's nothing really off the shelf that A, I could afford, but B, that would really be what I wanted it to be. So I started searching for things that would check a bunch of boxes, and I found this unicorn bus. It just looks like a relatively standard shuttle bus, but it has a couple things that are very unique to it. So this is built on an F550, so it's beefy and it's powerful, and there's some aftermarket support for that truck, and a lot of these were gassers because they're just fleet vehicles and they want less maintenance and they're running all the time and whatever. This one of the unique things is that it is actually the Power Stroke, the 6.7 Power Stroke. So gobs and tons of power in that motor. So that's what I was looking for, because I was like, well, it's big, it's heavy, I'm going to put bigger tires on it. Maybe eventually I'll tow something with it as well. So I was shopping for diesel, found it. The other thing that is even more rare in a vehicle like this is factory 4-wheel drive. So diesel, factory 4x4, tons of power, capability, everything. Now it's just sitting on stock wheels and tires right now, and that's probably what I'll upgrade eventually. It did come with this bumper that, you know, I don't love, but it's there. It's hard for me to want to take it off and replace it with something nicer. So until I check off a bunch of other boxes, that bumper that came with it will probably stay on it. Now the cool thing about this vehicle is it looks big. It is big, obviously, but lengthwise, this is about 25 feet, which if you were to get a F250, 350, 450, 550, they're all basically the same size. If you were to get a standard F250 that has the 4-door and an 8-foot bed, it would only be about 2.5 feet shorter than this. That is a big truck, full-size truck, 8-foot bed, it's a big truck. But this being only about 2.5 to 3 feet longer is pretty insane. So you get a lot of interior volume. Now the truck, you know, if it was the van platform, it would be a little shorter even. So the truck has a little bit more, but I wanted that because that was the only way I was going to get factory 4-wheel drive out of a modern vehicle. So inside it's a bus, literally bus seat. Probably do a dog bed over here. I gutted all of the seats and everything, air conditioner, everything out of there. And so I have this big box. I got to gut some more stuff. There's a bunch of wiring that I got to clear out of here, but I can start building in here pretty much right away. And so to emphasize this versus like a Sprinter van or even a, you know, sportsmobile, something like that, to give you an idea of the size of this, about 8 feet. So typically when you put a box on these things, they're about 8 feet wide. This is probably like 6'2", 6'3" high, maybe 6, yeah, something like that, 6'4" maybe. But this little U here, that is the standard size of an F550. So that may be even bigger than like a Sprinter or a Transit or a ProMaster. So from that wall to that wall is what you're going to be working with in a standard vehicle. Now you throw a box on it and you bump out, you know, about 1.5 feet here and 1.5 feet here. So now you're left with lots and lots of room and options. So anyway, I got this for a pretty good price and started working on it, got distracted, winter set in, this got thrown on the back burner, but is now on the 4 burner. And one of the reasons is, so we have the Sequoia. We got another vehicle that I'll talk about later for my wife. And then I have an LX570. Now Sequoia, the LX570, they're pretty big SUVs, but not huge. So I had this recent strong desire. I've had the desire for a long time, but it's just gotten so strong to where I almost wasn't able to resist it, to get a Ford Excursion. A 7.3 liter Ford Excursion. Wanted one for a long time. They're making a lot more sense now with kind of what I described on what I want to use this vehicle for. Ashley doesn't want one, so I would only get it to replace the Sequoia and or the LX570. But the LX570 is so special, which we'll get to in a second. The Sequoia is just kind of run-of-the-mill, a million of them out on the road, nothing too special. We haven't done much with the build. But Ashley says the Sequoia is the biggest vehicle I want to drive. Now, Ashley does drive the Sequoia still alive. They're going to the pool or taking some friends or whatever. So Ashley says, no Excursion. If you want the Excursion, we're also keeping the Sequoia. And I was like, I can't justify that. It doesn't make any sense, especially when I got this just rusting out on the side of the house. So just decided, not going to do the Excursion for now anyway. Going to build this, and this will basically handle what the Excursion could have handled. Really, the big appeals for the Excursion where there's more room, there's more power. It's got a 44-gallon tank on board with the 7.3. You're getting maybe 15 to 20 miles per gallon on the freeway, so you have a ton of range. It kind of checks like the bug out box for me. It's solid axle. They're beefy and they're bomb proof. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the day-to-day, what we're still using the Sequoia for. Just grocery store runs, go down the hill to the pool, things like that. The Sequoia is still better than the Excursion. So this will check the big hauling, long road trip, comfort, camping, bring a bunch of gear with us box way better than an Excursion will. So that is going to be... I'm saying no to the Excursion for now because I got this. So build that out. It's actually got dual fuel tanks, so it's got a 40-gallon, and then I believe it's a 26-gallon behind the axle. So it's got 66, I believe, or either 64, 66, maybe 68 even, 60s gallons of diesel on board already. So this will have 700 to 800 miles of range on a single fill-up, which is awesome. So I'm putting my Excursion Dreams back on hold for a while. That is going to check the box, and then Sequoia is going to check the other box. Okay, I think we'll go outside, check out some vehicles. But first, let's do today's sponsor, Equip. So thank you, Equip, for sponsoring yet another video here. They've sponsored a few videos, and I've been eating their protein pretty much daily. Most of the time, I blend it into a little smoothie here. And I've said it in a couple of the sponsorships now, but I combine chocolate and the salted caramel and the coffee, and it's basically a caramel frappuccino, but healthy for you, helps you meet your protein goals, and works great, obviously, for smoothies, shakes, or in cooking or whatever, but I primarily do it in smoothies. And so beef protein sounds a little funny. Maybe a steak-flavored protein shake sounds good to some people. That's not an option. They don't have steak flavor. So this will just taste like dessert, honestly. So chocolate will taste like chocolate, salted caramel will taste like salted caramel. There's no steak-flavored undertones or anything like that. And so you may be thinking, why beef? Why not pea protein or soy or whey? These are all options, and depending on your diet or your needs or whatever, they may be good for you, but they might not be. There's a lot of people that are allergic to these things. A lot of like the vegan proteins not like I can't eat vegetables, but they make me so gassy, especially the pea proteins. They're insane. So it's another option. There are benefits to beef as well, especially clean sourced beef. So that's the big thing with Equip is they want to have few ingredients. The ingredients they do have, they want them to be clean. They want to be very open on sourcing, where they come from, pesticide free. Health is the name of the game. So for instance, here, if you can see it, the ingredients in chocolate is grass-fed beef protein, cocoa powder, and stevia extract. That's it. So not a whole lot of wondering and guessing and what is that? I can't pronounce it. Just good stuff. So one of the other benefits to beef protein is naturally it has collagen and gelatin in it, which helps for joints and soft tissues and hair, skin, and nails. So I've been really enjoying this. And then there's 4 ounces of grass-fed beef in every scoop. It's kind of wild if you think about it. So if you'd like to try some out, you can go to equipfoods.com/LLOD and use code LLOD for, I believe it's 35% off your first subscription order or 20% off your first regular order. So thanks again to Equip for giving me protein for my muscles and sponsoring this video. Okay, so we'll do outside real quick in case it starts raining. So I got this. This is a 70-something CJ7 Jeep Wrangler, essentially. CJ7, old one. It's very small, this thing. It's so narrow. Fun fact, my first car ever that was my own was a 95 Wrangler 2-door, a TJ with the square headlights. So I actually had a Jeep before I had any Toyotas, and here we are with the Jeep again. But this thing is really strictly a plow vehicle. It's not even insured or registered for on the road, so I use it to plow my driveway and all this stuff. And it's not great. It does not like the cold. I probably needs some tune-ups and whatnot, but it pushes snow surprisingly well, even without chains. So even with these just regular tires that came on it and this little plow, it works and it does the job. I bought it last minute before a snowstorm. I sold my Polaris that was my plow, and it just didn't quite have the power to really plow what I needed to plow, especially when it was like heavy. So I sold that, and I didn't have a plow, and there was a big old storm coming. So I actually kind of bought this real quick locally and drove it home and used it all winter. And I'm debating putting some money into it and kind of doing a bunch of stuff it needs and keeping it, or selling it and getting something else. I'm not sure yet. It is a manual, which is fine. I've driven manuals off and on my whole life, but it does add an extra difficulty dynamic, because with how I'm plowing a lot of this stuff, I'm moving up and down the winch left and right as I'm kind of going. And then with the manual, especially the power band in this thing is like, I'm usually in second, because first is so slow and you need some momentum to push the snow. So I'm going first to second. Well, anyway, it's kind of a pain, especially since it just doesn't drive very well. And in the cold, it just wants to stall out all the time, regardless of gear changes. But you throw that into them. It's tough, but maybe, I don't know, keeps my skills up for the winter. Then back here, the neglected, you might have seen it in the previous video. I have this cool, amazing 40th anniversary 80 series Land Cruiser, 97 FZJ80, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, but it's been sitting too long. When a car sits too long, they just start to break on you. So power steering pump is shot. The battery's just long dead. It's been on its way out since I got it, and so it needs new seals on stuff. It needs a lot of work. So that's been on the back burner because, yeah, time, energy, effort. Then I do also have the 60 still, the 1984 Land Cruiser 60 series, and this thing actually, probably the battery's dead on it too now as well. But this thing hasn't needed a whole, I needed to give it some love when I first got it, but since then it's actually been pretty okay, but it obviously doesn't get driven. So these two Land Cruisers, I probably should have sold them. Land Cruiser prices went crazy a couple years ago, and I got some crazy offers for both of those Land Cruisers that I didn't take because I liked them. I didn't need the money necessarily, and I was like, I'm gonna keep these things forever, and maybe the value will keep going up. It didn't. It dropped back down now, and now they've been sitting, and I'm a Land Cruiser guy. I love Land Cruisers, but here's the thing. Here's a little rambling session for you. There's a problem with owning too many vehicles, and this is, I don't know how this is going to come off. I want it to come off in the most relatable way possible. But as a guy, especially a guy watching, if you're watching my channel, you can probably relate to this. You like cars, you like vehicles. You were a kid, you dreamed of all these vehicles. Now, I didn't dream of I never really dreamed of a garage full of Lambos and Ferraris and stuff like that. And I didn't even dream of a bunch of vehicles at one time. But there's a list. Most guys have this, a list of vehicles that they would love to own, that they would love to build, they would love to mod. I have that list, and I have been checking, I've been checking the boxes for the last handful of years, and I haven't been chasing happiness. I haven't been chasing fulfillment in the vehicles. Like, I wasn't certain, there was no existential anything going on, like I'm trying to fill a void. There was none of that. They were just vehicles that I wanted. So that's just the preface. my head has always been screwed on properly. If you're looking for meaning and fulfillment and happiness and whatnot from vehicles, you'll never find it, obviously. Hopefully that goes to say you'll never find it. So I was never searching for it in vehicles, but I did chase a lot of vehicles, and I did get a lot of vehicles, and I've owned a lot of vehicles. And I've loved the vehicles. I've never had so much attachment. Selling them is never hard. I never look back and have a ton of regrets, nothing like that. But I did check off a lot of boxes. And so let me just give you some unsolicited advice. Having said all of that, it's a lot of work. Getting a lot of vehicles. I'm at this point in my life now, and I've probably only gotten here because of my experiences, but I don't want any more. I mean, I do. I'd like a Defender. I'd like an Excursion, like I said. There's some sports cars I'd still like to own one day, maybe, but I'm to this point where I don't actually really care anymore. And the reason, I think some of it has to do with family. So now I have a family, now I have little kids now, where I had time to just tinker on vehicles and work on them in the garage and research them, and I could get another project and I would have the time and the energy for it. Now I don't. Now my time and my energy and my desire to spend time with things is split. Now I'd way rather hang out with my kids than I would work on a vehicle. And so part of it is now I've just been taking vehicles to shops to do stuff that I would have normally done on my own, because now when I work on vehicles, it's like I have 30 minutes here. I go out and work on them while Cooper's down for a nap there, or, it's always in between. I don't have just 8 hours to throw at a job. So I've been taking my vehicles to shops more, and shops cost money. And they take time. I got to get a ride home, or I can Uber, but I'm kind of at the far edge of Uberable areas. And so that's a time commitment where I'm just dropping it off as a time commitment. And the more vehicles I have, the more of them I need to work on. And the more I need to work on, especially when they're sitting like the Land Cruisers now I'm like, okay, now this vehicle that was fine once upon a time, now I'm going to have to put, I don't know, dozens of hours of work to kind of get it back up to the shape where I really want it. So even though that's just been sitting on the side of my house, that has been looming over my head. Like I've just been thinking about it. Not like I wake up and I think about it, but it is one of 500 projects that I have, and it's too many projects. And I got I got all kinds of house stuff, homestead stuff. So family, homestead stuff, property stuff, preparedness stuff. Like I still would like to I'd like to expand my food growing operations by a lot. I would like more livestock potentially, maybe some rabbits, maybe some sheep. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. And vehicles are one part of my life that used to be a much bigger part of my life. They're still a big part of my life, but I used to have more time. We'll say I used to have more time for that. So while the interest levels are still probably pretty similar as they've always been, the time I have to throw at it is not as much. So there's this thing that I always talk to my friend Philip about, and we've been into guns together and cars together, and we've been through a lot of hobbies. And he has a family as well, and his kids are a little older than mine, so he probably came to this conclusion a little before I did. But I had always said to him, like, I don't want a bunch of stuff. I just want a few nice things. Like, I don't want 30 guns. I want a couple dialed ARs and Glocks, right? Like, I would rather have a few nice things than a bunch of okay things. And I've gotten to this point where I have had too many nice things. And I'm trying to make my Land Cruisers perfect. And I'm trying to build the LX 570 perfect. And the Tacoma perfect. And the Tundra perfect. And even like my wife's Sequoia daily, I'm like, okay, get nicer wheels and tires, and let's throw a roof, like everything. And then this bus project. So everything's always got to be perfect. So if anything, I want to downsize. So as I'm showing this fleet video, it's kind of weird because I have a lot of vehicles and a lot of them are getting dialed, and that's a lot of the change. It is my job now, kind of. It's my job to get these vehicles dialed, but I'd rather go on adventures. So the other aspect of it is with the kids, Now, my wife's needing more of my assistance. Like before we had the 2 little kids, she didn't need me for anything. I could go camp whenever I wanted. I could go on trips and she's just fine. Now she needs me. And the kids need me, right? So now I haven't been going camping as much. I haven't been going on trips as much because, especially when the kids are young, June, my youngest, is getting to the age where she's been a very difficult kid. June has been a very difficult kid. Who would have thought this rambling session would go this route? Very difficult kid. So when I say my wife needs me, she's not a needy, like controlling person. Not just our kids are crazy. So I've been having to help out more with the kids. So with that, I'm like, well, I've turned my focus back on. It's kind of contradictory to what I've been talking about. I haven't had time to work on the vehicles, but I haven't actually had the time to go camp, to leave the house. But I can be here and I can get away for an hour and tinker around some stuff and get back. So I've actually been kind of, in some sense, increasing the projects because I haven't been going on trips and camping as much. So I'm at this weird stage in my life right now where I'm discovering things and finding out things and changing kind of what I think I want to pursue and whatnot. But anyway, obviously a lot of it is still vehicle centric. I don't really know where I was going with that little tangent, but that is where we're at. So maybe I want to get rid of some more vehicles. I don't know. I got rid of the GTR, my dream car, my Nissan GTR. I sold that. No regrets. Missed it a little bit, regret it, not at all, really. That freed up some cash, both to dump into homestead projects, into the bus, buy Ashley a car that we'll talk about later, and yeah, just have a little more cashola cushion. So before anyone asks how you afford all this stuff, I made a video about it. I'll put it up here, click it. It's maybe a good watch, especially if you're a younger guy trying to set goals and get a direction in life. You can follow some of what I did. Golf R. This car is actually also on the chopping block because my wife's new car I've been driving a lot, and this was kind of the practical daily driver, got pretty good gas mileage, but was still kind of fun for the canyon rips and whatnot. Haven't been going on canyon rips. My friends haven't been wanting to go on drives. So this has just been daily, kind of just running little short errands, taking my daughter to school every single day, but I haven't driven it since we got the new car. So that may go. I may sell this one as well and, get that off. Here is the LX570. Love this vehicle. Still love this vehicle. It has some things that I need to do to it still. I've made several recent videos about this one. So if you want some updates on it, some stuff that I've been working on lately, as well as some of the plans for it, watch those videos. But this is a 2008 LX570, 37s, descent, bumpers. I need to add skids, need to add sliders, need to add blockers, need to add gears. So that's kind of the plan. I recently put on this Kamak awning. Legless awning, deploys in 2 seconds. That thing is awesome. Awesome. I'm all about quick setup, and that has it. So LX570, awesome. This truck, this is the RCSB, regular cab, short bed, 2007 Tundra. This truck has been getting lots of love on the channel, so I won't talk about it much because it's been getting tons of videos on it already, but it's got a GFC on it, and it's awesome. This is kind of my daily driver. This is when I'm not driving the other car, this is what I'll typically drive when I'm not driving that, since I'm not really driving that anymore. This is my kind of most dialed. People ask me if I just had to get in a truck and go, or a bug out or whatever. This would be the truck. It's a 24 Tundra. It's got full C4 armor. It's on 37s, roof rack, Diamondback HD cover with some up top crossbars on it, have a ton of gear in here. Is it unlocked? It is. It's one of my favorite things with the crossbin here, so keep a lot of my like kind of preparedness gear there, but still can just load the truck fully because it just takes up that otherwise kind of unused space up here. This truck has been flawless. It has been an absolute dream. It is our most luxurious vehicle, heated, cooled seats, front and rear. It's got the built-in peasant blockers. It's dirty as heck. It has so many luxury, not like a real luxury car, but compared to all my other vehicles, this truck is nice and I have no issues with it. But here's another twist that gets thrown into the mix, and kind of to give you an idea of what goes on in my head all the time. I have this Tundra. It's a bigger back seat for the kids. The car seats, obviously, it's great for that. 5.5 foot bed, so pretty small bed. This one has a 6.5 foot bed, but no back seat. So this is basically the solo rig, bigger bed. Cool. I have another truck. So I'll get back to this little tangent thing I've been going on. Now this truck, this truck is the main truck, is going to be main truck on the channel. This is my 24 Tacoma. Tacoma is what I'm known for, my 3rd gen Tacoma. This is going under the knife soon. I'm actually driving it out to Sturgis, C4, getting front bumper, skids, sliders, rear bumper, all in one go. So it'll completely transform this truck into very nearly the final form of the truck. It hasn't done that yet because I need to fix some crap that I've ordered from a dealership, and it's been 3 weeks now. I've been waiting on this crap. The main piece I've been waiting on is the main piece that I need, which is the whole understructure of this grill. If you haven't watched, I talked about it in a previous video, I got in an accident. It was my fault. It sucked. It was just, I don't know what happened. Wasn't distracted, wasn't on my phone, wasn't anything, very low speed, airbags didn't deploy, nobody was hurt. Like, it was a very minor accident. I don't know. And this was $8,000 in damages here. So, it's fully insured and everything. So, I won't start my GoFundMe yet or anything for it. But I need to fix all that before I can take it in. I don't need to fix it all, but the bumper is going to come up to here. So I do need to fix a lot of it. This is damaged. This is damaged. The grill shutters inside. Like, there's so much crap under here that was damaged. I need to fix that. So anyway, this is still the truck I'm going to be testing rooftop tents on, and this will be my main camping rig, and this will still be sort of the face of the channel. This truck isn't going anywhere. It's the main ride. The bigger back seat, but it's tiny, and then the 5 foot little bed. But this will be, the truck that I take solo a lot of times, or I'll bring one kid, or sometimes bring the family, but it's not that big. But I love it. It's a great truck. I've had no issues. Fantastic. Gonna hang on to it. Gonna keep building it. This truck's not going anywhere. So back to my tangent and how my brain works. I have all these vehicles. I want them to excel at things, right? Like the Sequoia is the people mover, the daily, but you can still park it in a normal spot. It works well. The LX is kind of the family. When I'm bringing the dogs, the dogs can be inside, and I can really bring the whole family. It's got loaded up with gear and racks and storage capacity. It's no Excursion, but it'll do the job. It'll fit on tighter trails. It'll get me to all the places, all the really cool places that, a stock vehicle can't get me, and I'll be able to take the whole family there. So that one is great. And again, it's got the SUV, so I can keep my dogs all enclosed, and it's good. Love that. The only thing that would replace that, again, like I said earlier, is maybe an Excursion. But Excursion wouldn't be able to easily get me to all the places the LX would get me. It would be fine on a lot of a lot of trails, but also not that fine on some trails. The daily, I like a truck. I do a lot of truck stuff, but I have this truck with a 6.5 foot bed that can do some truck stuff. Now the camper excels in some ways versus the Diamondback, but the Diamondback excels in a lot of ways, especially for daily ability. I can go do Hosco runs, I can throw guns, I could throw golf clubs, obviously. I can throw all kinds of stuff. It's out of the weather, easy to access, it's secure, like love the Diamondback on here. Do I need to go pick up a truckload of dirt? Diamondback comes off with 4 bolts. The Cap, way harder to pull that off. So that truck doesn't really do all the truck stuff. This truck can, because it's more configurable. It can do more stuff, but that truck's got a 6.5 foot bed. This truck's only got a 5.5 foot bed. This truck's kind of locked into camping mode, so it's not as usable with truck stuff. So my daily, my truck, my projects, find something good on Marketplace, go get a swing set or whatever. This is still the truck, but it's only got a 5.5 foot bed. And I have all these vehicles, and I'm like, maybe, since again, I'm not having to go parallel park this down in downtown Denver or really do anything, because I got all these other vehicles I could drive. And this truck's too nice also. Like I said earlier, it's so nice, but I'm not a nice vehicle. Like, I don't really care. Nice stuff, I don't need it. So I kind of want to, let me know your thoughts on this. It'll be blasphemous to some, and it'll be like, hell yeah, brother, to others. And I'm not doing it, I'm not planning it, I'm not researching it. If I do it, it'll be down the road a ways. It's starting to rain out here, if you're hearing that. But I'm like, maybe I should just get a F350 crew cab, big back seat, 8 foot bed beast, or maybe a 450 or a 550 even, but I don't need 10,000 pounds of payload and 30,000 pounds towing realistically. But there are times when I go rent a mini excavator or something that they don't let me do it in the 1/2 ton. You need at least a 3/4 ton to rent some of the bigger stuff. So it actually has been limiting. And then also, like I said, the 5.5 foot bed works, but it's not great. So I'm kicking around the idea of 1 ton plus truck with an 8 foot bed. Beast just, and so then I'll have more differentiation. I'll have the legitimately small truck, the kind of oddball truck, this is just, my fun, this is my, instead of a Porsche, I got this little random truck. And then the daily truck, which is the go anywhere, do anything truck. It just does truck stuff. But replace this with a diesel, big tank, tons of range, tons of power. I can still take the family to the pumpkin patch or whatever in it. More differentiation. So that's what I'm getting at, more differentiation. Like, don't just have a bunch of vehicles to have them. Like, I don't want 2 vehicles that do the exact same thing. Why? Why would I have that? More purpose. If I'm gonna have several vehicles, I want them to be a little more purpose built. And should this have a little more differentiation, just big truck. Again, I tow stuff, but not all the time. Like, I don't have a big 5th wheel. I don't run an excavation company. Like, I don't need 30,000 pounds of towing capacity. It'd be nice. Be nice to have. Be nice to have. So anyway, that's what's kind of kicking around. My wife's not home, so I can't even do the last car yet. But I'll splice the last car in real quick here. So, yep, Tesla, actually. So this is a Model Y. This is a 2025, but not the new not the new generation. Ashley has been wanting a smaller and electric vehicle for a while. So I'll talk more about this thing and the why and how we've liked it, and probably answer most of the questions you have. I'll film that right after this video. But essentially, this is the 7-passenger model, the tiny, tiny third row, long range, all-wheel drive, Quicksilver. And I was looking at a lot of EVs, and I was actually looking into leasing them because I think they all go down in value too fast for buying them. I like to buy vehicles that have already depreciated for the most part, or ones that won't depreciate quite as fast. And I don't think that's the case for EVs, any EVs, really. So I was looking into a lease, but while I was researching it, there were crazy deals on the Model Y. So this was like, I think, $6,000 off, plus the $7,500 tax credit, plus like another $3,800 Colorado tax credit. So this thing, like after taxes, after fees, everything, that's with upgraded. This is like $2,000 extra paint job. The 7 passengers like an extra $1,000. It's got the tow hitch, which is like an extra $1,000. Long range, all-wheel drive. So like not the cheapest you can get, but all of those upgrades with the savings and everything came out to like 37 grand, like after taxes and delivery fee, like all the stuff. So it's like one of the cheapest EVs you can get. Love EVs, hate EVs, love Teslas, hate Teslas, whatever. Like, I'll tell you, they're nice. They are nice. So it's Ashley's car, but I've been driving it primarily to take the kiddo to school. And man, it does everything really, really well. So I'll give my whole thoughts on that later. But this is the newest to the fleet here. And yeah, I mean, not as cool as like a Rivian or anything like that, but the price was right. And Ashley just wanted something that was smaller than the Sequoia. And she hates going to the gas station. And so this checked the boxes we need, and it's grown on me a ton. Like I used to just, you see everyone sees Model Ys everywhere. They're the #1 selling car on the planet, I think. And I just ignored them, never thought anything of them, didn't think they were that attractive, didn't think they were that ugly, just they existed. But man, they've grown on me a lot. Like, not that I think this is the best looking car in the world or anything like that, obviously, but the lines and the curves and just everything about them, I aesthetically appreciate so much more than I used to. Maybe that's just an ownership thing. I do think this color is very nice, probably the best color. The white's kind of cool because you get the Stormtrooper vibes. But yeah, anyway, that's that. And if you want to hear more about it, I'm going to do a dedicated video that actually, I forget, order of operations. It would make sense to do that video first because this video's got a huge spoiler alert. So probably that video's already posted if I did it in the order I'm thinking I should do it. Okay, anyway, we'll do a dedicated video on that because it's just kind of weird and I feel like it. All right, so I was editing this video and realized there was no Sequoia segment, even though I definitely filmed one. I must have deleted it. So this is actually Ashley's car that we got when we sold, well, we got this and then sold the RAV4 because Ashley wanted a bigger vehicle, but it turns out she doesn't actually like the bigger vehicle much, which is mainly the whole reason for the Tesla. I love the Sequoia. I don't mind driving it at all. It actually drives and parks and turns better than half of my vehicles, so it feels kind of small to me. And Ashley still doesn't hate, she likes driving it, she just hates parking it. So she doesn't like parking it because mostly the doors are pretty big, and even when she says she parks far away from the store, getting the kids out, the car seats out, is tough because in a normal kind of smaller spot, she can't quite squeeze it in. So she was happy just driving it and dealing with the frustrations all the time, but it also gets horrible gas mileage, and the reverse cameras and where, I don't know, there's like little nits that she didn't like about it, which is why we got the Tesla. But this thing is still so good that we drive it a lot. And again, it's our biggest SUV. So when we have a bunch of people to drive around, we do take this. This is a 2011 Sequoia, has 200,000 miles on it. And also I got guilted by one of the commenters. I did a whole video on it. If you want to know my full thoughts on this, I did a video or two on it, talked about some of the upgrades and just how much I love the second gen Sequoias. I think it's an amazing vehicle. But I actually got bullied. I got online bullied when I got this for Ashley. Someone was like, oh, you got all these nice new cars and you buy your wife this 200,000 mile beater. And it's not true. I mean, you don't know our relationship and what Ashley wanted and what we talked about when buying the vehicle. I would get her whatever she wants, but I don't know. I felt kind of bad. And that comment just lived with me. And Ashley didn't even want, I'll talk more in the dedicated video, but Ashley didn't even really want me to get this. Like, she felt bad, and I was like, I'm just gonna get it for you. Because of that comment, mostly, not really, but had something to do with it. Anyway, this car's been great. Love it. Still have it. Probably no plans to sell it or anything. So Ashley kind of has two vehicles. It's kind of funny. She never thought she'd be a two-vehicle person, but she's kind of got two vehicles now. And so that is the current fleet. Let me know your thoughts. What should I do? What should I sell? What should I pursue? What should I build? What should I change? Or just change nothing. Just keep everything, sell nothing, buy nothing. I don't know. But I do want to lower my car count by at least one. So probably the Golf R will go and I'll keep everything else the same and maybe like replace a vehicle. Maybe I'll sell two vehicles. I don't know. All right, well, that's it. I'm gonna get out of the rain and close some stuff up before it gets soaked. So appreciate you watching. Really do appreciate you watching. Appreciate everything. All right, guys, until next time, take care.